So if I had to start with camera gear in 2023, knowing what I know now that I did not know back then, what are the options that I would look at? So we're going to break this down, the pros and the cons, the likes and the dislikes of my pick for the chosen photo body in entry-level budget photo body in 2023. So my choice for budget professional work in 2023 would be no other than the Fujifilm XT2. So the XT2 was launched back in 2016. Now I'm not going to give you a list of specifications. I'm rather here to tell you why I think the XT2 is still relevant in 2023. So starting with the pros on this particular body, number one would be image quality. Now image quality for me is very important. I've had the XT4, I've sold that, I've replaced it with the XH2S, and there's something about, like most people would mention about the X-Trans 3 sensor. I think it's the X-Trans 3 sensor, and there's just something magical or cinematic about the image quality on the sensor. So another pro for the XT2 would be the 1/8000 fast mechanical shutter. Now comparing that to the Sony a7C entry-level full-frame mirrorless camera, came out in 2020, only has a 1/4000 mechanical shutter. EOS RP up to 3 times the price of the XT2, only has a 1/4000 mechanical shutter. However, the XT2 APS-C came out in 2016, has a 1/8000 mechanical shutter, and basically what that does is once you're outside in bright light, you don't need to use a ND filter to stop down your lens to 1.4, 1.8, etc. So for me, that's a huge plus for the XT2. So another benefit for the Fuji XT2 would be the dual card slots, UHS 2 card slots. For backup recording or recording RAW onto one card, JPEG onto the other card, etc. I'm going to compare it back to the Sony a7C and the Canon EOS RP, both modern full frame cameras. They've only got single card slots. So another huge benefit for the XT2 with having dual UHS 2 card slots. Another pro for the XT2 is that it has, you can get an optional battery grip, and that does numerous enhancements, or it gives numerous enhancements for the XT2. Example number one, you've got extra 2 batteries, so your battery life is going to be longer. So getting to the cons later on, I was going to mention about the battery life on the XT2. However, with the battery grip, you know, your battery life is going to be so much better, and the handling of the body is going to be so much better, and there's some performance increases with the battery grip. Example, your frames per second goes from a certain amount, I can't remember the exact amount, I'll put it up on the screen over here, but you'll get extra frames per second. There's a boost mode, I think in 4K you're then able to shoot up to 30 minutes, etc. So that's another big bonus for the XT2, having the optional battery grip, and having the battery grip on there, seeing that the XT2 does not have in-body image stabilization. It gives a bit more weight to the XT2 as well, seeing that it is a light body. So you know, your camera shake is going to be less when doing video, or your shutter speed maybe, you know, I don't know if that is a thing. So that's also just another plus that I thought of for the XT2 having the battery, when having the battery grip. Now just a very few dislikes for the XT2. Number one would be battery life. So if you're not going to get the battery grip, the battery life is rated for 320 shots. That's not much. So if you're going to go out, you're going to need at least, you know, for a day's work, I would say 3 to 4 batteries. I currently have 3 batteries for this body. So you're going to need about 3 to 4 batteries to get you through a full day's work if you're not going to have a backup body or a spare body. So that's just a negative for the XT2. But with the size, you know, and if you add the battery grip to it, that con actually just falls away. Now, like I mentioned earlier, this body doesn't have optical image stabilization. So, and for me, that is kind of major. Reason being, Fuji's best 16 to 55 zoom lens does not, which I'm currently using right now, does not have optical image stabilizer. So for me, that's a bit of a bigger negative, not having the in-body image stabilizer, or the sensor shift stabilization. The XH1, I think that is the first mirrorless body from Fuji that actually came with in-body or sensor shift stabilization. Now, to negate that, I would say, you know, don't go for the 16-55 Fuji lens, 2.8 lens. Rather opt for the Tamron 17-70 lens, and that would basically, you know, negate the lack of sensor shift stabilization on the XT2. Or if you're going to do video, which I've used before, is the 18-55, the 2.8 to f4, and that one has optical image stabilization and it does a fantastic job. So if you're going to do video, go for the 18-55, 2.8 to 4, or if you're going to be more into photography or video, then I would say go for the Tamron 17 to 70 2.8 with optical image stabilization. Now, another con for this body is that the autofocus in low light is not as good as the XH2S. I've had the XT4, it was quite comparable to the XT4. However, in low light there is some hunting with the 16-55 that I currently have. There is some hunting with the 90mm f2 that I've had, that I'm using. I don't have any other lenses to test. However, that is the case in low light. In normal light or good light, there is no issue. Like I said, I'm currently filming this video on the XT2 with the 16-55. It's doing a fantastic job with tracking my face, tracking my eyes, etc. So just be wary in low light. In photography, there is some hunting. It's not like you can't get focus, it just takes a bit longer. And like I said, compared to the XT4, it's not that major. However, compared to the XH2S, there's a huge difference in autofocus with that body. Now, another con that I actually was considering mentioning was, or I didn't want to mention it, was that the lack of 10-bit 422 internal for video. Now, this video I'm mostly talking about photography. However, in video it only has 8-bit, and the reason why I didn't want to mention that was because the last job I've done, the last interviews I've done with the XH2S using 422 10-bit files, the file sizes were enormous. I came home with 220 gigs worth of footage for a 5-minute video. So that's why I didn't want to mention that negative in the specific con. However, let me just put it out there so you guys know there is no 10-bit 422 internal. However, the footage coming out of the XT2 is more than enough in 2023, whether it be for social media or for clients, etc., whether it be for wedding videos. It's more than enough. The 8-bit 422, it does have F-log internal now with the various updates that we've got, so you can shoot F-log internal to get some extra dynamic range. So yeah, that's my take on the Fuji XT2 in 2023. I would highly recommend it as your budget entry level or starting out in 2023, whether it be for photo work, for video work, on a professional level or on an amateur level. I would highly recommend it. Okay, so that's my take on the Fuji XT2 in 2023. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to comment down below. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Thank you and goodbye.